Craftsman T3200 transmission, drain and fill. This is how I did it. First of all, I had my jack up underneath here while I was unhooking everything. And once I got everything unhooked and I was ready to drop the transmission down, I put block under each side of the deck and just eased it down on the deck. These newer motors are lightweight. I don't think it's gonna hurt a thing. So what do you gotta do to get it out? You got 2 bolts on each side here. I think they're 1/2-inch nut bolts. Take those out. And before you take all the bolts out, you want to unhook this plug. You want to reach up in there, and this is your forward reverse rod. There's going to be a pin back here, and it looks just like this pin. It's kind of funky, and it's kind of weird to try to get out, but it will come out if you play with it. And that shifting rod just laid up on the frame, so it's sitting up there. I didn't have to take it out. Once I got that out, then this spring here that goes to the brake lever, foot lever, take this thing completely out. Take that completely out. And let's see, you got that and that, the spring, and yeah, that's it. You take these 2 on each side out. You got these 2 little bolts are 5/16. It's a cross member. They're threaded into the frame. There's 2 on each side. You take those out, and by then you need to have a jack under it. And you're going to start lowering it down, but you got to remember you got the belt. And that belt, I didn't have to take any of this belt guard off. It just kind of all played with it, and it kind of come right off. So I took the belt off, and I think that's it. Lowered it down, just take it easy. Don't tear nothing up. And I believe they said, well, first of all, the cap. This is your breather back here. I'm sure you could do all this through the breather. I don't know. All the videos I watched, most of them did it through this, so I'm doing it through this. Let's see here. First of all, this cap is real similar to the little hubcap on the front of a car. When you pull the little hubcap off and you got the bearings and stuff in there, that's about how this comes out. It's pretty tight in there. When I do it again, I'm gonna buy a new one just in case I screw it up, because it's tough, but yeah, it's pretty tough to get it out. You just be real careful about your aluminum. You don't want to mess thin right there, and yeah, you don't want to mess that up. So the fluid, they said, was supposed to be 3/4 to 1 inch down from the top edge, and mine was exactly 3/4 of an inch. And when I worried about bleeding it, I didn't want it to be low after bleeding it, and I didn't want to take it out to check it, and I don't know if it's possible to check it underneath there and get the cap back in. So basically, I'm just going to overfill it about 1/4 of an inch, and I think that should do it. And but to drain it, I just popped it off, spun it upside down into a pan, and let it drain. And it did have a fair amount of metallic in it from break-in. So there you go. Definitely needs to be done. This is at 50 hours. I did put it in gear and work this and work the wheels around, try to bleed it, while it's sitting here, and I didn't get any air out of it. So that's it. That's the way I did it. I've got it refilled. I'm gonna fill it just a little bit overfilled. I'm sure get a little too much in there. I'm sure it'll come right out that breather. And that's the way I do it. It actually, I think, having done it once, the next time I do it, not including the drain and fill time, but just getting it in and out, I think I could do it in easily an hour and a half tops. So there you go. One thing I forgot to mention, when you pull that cap, you're going to have this little magnet sitting in there, and it just sits down. You see the slots, top and bottom of the camera. It just slides right down in there. It just sits down in there and sucks up metal. That's what magnets do. Anyway, yeah, clean it, put it back in. just to give you an idea of what it looks like going back in. Motor's still jacked up and sitting on the deck. But I got my jack underneath the little thing. Kind of got it under there and squared up. And your rod to throw it in neutral or whatever. You're going to lean the transmission, tilt it forward a little bit, and you're going to go right back through the hole. Make sure it don't fall out, and you're going to, at that point, maybe jack it up a little bit or whatever. You got to get your belt back on, and the rest of it's pretty self-explanatory. Put things back the way they came off. Yep, good time. Another note, first time you learn everything, that fan's pretty flexible, and the belt, it was harder to get it back on than it was bringing it off. I didn't like how much I had to bend the fan blades a little bit. On an old fan, that might be an issue. What will solve that problem is popping the wheels off, and the transmission will slide forward quite a bit more, and that's you shouldn't have a problem at all with that. So that's what I'm going to do next time. I'm just going to pop the wheels off, and then when I get it out, I might just slide them back on to, you know, flip it over and drain it. I don't know. Another note, I did take the wheel off to put the pin in the forward reverse rod, so you can get your hand in here pretty easy. So taking the wheel off definitely helped. That's kind of a little pain getting that pin in. With that wheel off, here's a look at the little 5/16 inch bolts that go in the frame to hold that cross member up, and your linkage for that spring is right here, and it hooks to the transmission. That's a real easy spring to get in and out. So yeah, I think next time I'm going to try it without the. Another note, apparently when I unbolted the transmission, there's that spring. It's hooked to the little arm on the transmission. When I unbolted it, it gave a lot of slop and came off real easy. Well, now the transmission is bolted up, and I had to pull the wheel off on this side because I need to get two hands on it. It doesn't take much to move it to get it hooked up, but I couldn't do it with the wheel on. So there you go. I got the spring on. Yeah, it does. It's just hanging down there. Definitely be sure and hook that spring up before you bolt up the rear end. It's got plenty of play there. Here comes my helper. Ah! Hello, helper. Hello, helper. Got everything hooked back up. Ran it back and forth just to see if it needed to be bled. It did not. People do it different ways, but I think most people jack it up. They run it forward and reverse and work the air out of it. I don't think I had mine flipped upside down long enough to let any air get up in the little valves that work up and down. So anyway, that was it. Wasn't too bad. Lessons learned. Definitely put that spring back on there before you bolt up the rear end. And I think next time I'll try it with the wheels off. See if it's a little easier. Anyway, it wasn't too bad though.